Hello everyone! I bought myself a new multimeter a few months ago, and since there are not many reviews of this on YouTube, I thought why not make one? So, first of all, I actually didn't want to get this meter. I wanted to get the other Aneng meter, the AN8008 or Q1, because they're basically cheaper and don't have these useless features that I don't care about. But they were out of stock, and I actually bought this on my local market, so I probably overpaid. I paid around $40. When my old multimeter died, I actually didn't want to spend like $200-300 for an actual like really good multimeter, but I didn't want to spend like $100 on a multimeter that's basically the same as the $20 one, just a bit nicer in its design and no actual specification difference. So I looked around a lot and I found that this one and the other Anengs I mentioned are basically the best thing you could really get for your money. Now, I would suggest to buy the other Anengs if you don't care about these features I'm going to show today, other from like voltage measurements and stuff other than that. So basically, first of all, this thing has buttons instead of the rotating switch, which would be fine. Like, I'm not against this, I actually like this design decision, but they didn't use an actual switch for turning on. Like, they're using a power push button, which is extremely stupid because you have to like wait 4 seconds to actually for it to turn on, and that's stupid to me. Like, why couldn't you use an actual button like those push switches which most multimeters use to actually turn on? Like, that's just stupid. But going on, second thing about this multimeter that is extremely stupid is it starts on voltage measurement, which is fine. Like, that's probably the first thing you want to measure when you turn on a multimeter. That's actually pretty good, but it starts in AC mode. Like, I'm going to guess that most people who buy this are not going to use AC mode of this multimeter. So starting in AC mode is just infuriating. Why? Because you waited just 4 seconds to turn this on, and then you have to click another button to switch to DC, which is just like a waste of time. It should have been started on DC and then AC and then the other things. And the third thing this button has is non-contact voltage tester. Here's the probe for it. And the best way to describe this is just a waste of words. Like, this thing is not consistent. When you have a non-contact voltage tester, you're basically trusting this thing with your life. Like, you're probably going to need this to find a button, not a button, a wire in a wall, and you're probably going to drill that wall, and you could get killed if there's actually a wire. You probably won't get killed, but still you're going to damage some stuff, and trusting this is basically rolling the dice. Yeah, you're probably better off just drilling in a random spot. This thing is barely consistent, like almost consistent but not really, and that's the most dangerous part about this. But moving on, second most useless thing about this multimeter is the flashlight. Oh yeah, I'm going to need a flashlight with my multimeter. This is just waste of parts, really. Like, nobody needs that. Just, it's not even a good flashlight, it's just one LED. Like, this can't light up anything. But still, it's an additional button, so you paid for it. Next, we're moving to the upper button. This thing is for millivolt measurement. Also, the screen sometimes like does this, like it kind of darkens on some spots, but yeah, it's not really that noticeable. It's mostly the camera picking up this, but you can sometimes see it with your eye. It's actually nice that like this screen is actually pretty big and it's easy to read. I don't have any problems with my vision, but still, it's really nice to have this. So moving on, this is the millivolt button. It should have really probably been here and just a range button, but still. It also starts in AC, which is again stupid. You have to switch it to DC, And the last part of this is the temperature measurement. This thing comes with the thermal key couple, but I lost it somewhere, and it's reasonably precise. Like, it will get you to the ballpark number of like the measurement you want to take. It's not really that good, but still, it's fine for what you probably need. And it's nice that you have Celsius here, like the biggest number, which is actually really nice, and Fahrenheit up here, so you don't have to switch if you are using the worthless units. So next is this button. This is probably the worst thing about this after these two. So it starts with a capacitance measurement. This is just plain stupid. How many times are we going to measure capacitance in this? This is coupled with the diode measurement, which is fine, like having this in a button. Also with continuity measurement, which is probably your most used measurement, and the resistance measurement. Resistance is last. You know how this should go? Continuity, resistance, diode, capacitance. Capacitance should be last. You're probably going to use continuity almost all the time. And while we're on topic of continuity, I know that probably some people are going to be interested, as I was, about how fast the continuity measurement is, because this is really important if you're like fixing stuff and trying to find connections between stuff. Like, having a really fast continuity measurement is actually really important, and I'm really happy with this. It's reasonably fast. Like, it's not the best I've seen, but it's actually fast, and that's probably the most important thing. So if I get like some motherboard or something, you probably will be able to hear a beep. Let's try to find the ground. Yeah, you can hear it. It can detect the ground here, like somewhere on these pins. So it's reasonably fast. It's not the best thing in the world, but still, it's good. So definitely change the order of this. This would probably be the biggest improvement for me. And the last part about DC measurements and stuff is this button here. When you're in DC mode, I think. No, it's when you're in AC mode, you click this and you get the frequency measurement. I think this is for duty cycle. I'm not sure, I haven't tested that. We'll have to test it later, probably see it. But I think this is for measuring duty cycle. Up here, the percentage, that probably is it. And this is for measuring frequency. Like, it's probably not that precise, but still, you could probably get like in a ballpark of a real number. And the last thing you probably noticed is there's no current mode. Well, how do you switch to current? Well, you can see there are current plugs here for measuring current, and a really nice thing about this is it auto switches. Like, it detects when you plug in the probe into current. This is actually a really good feature. It has an annoying feature, and that is that it constantly beeps while it is in this mode, and this is actually annoying, but it's actually a good feature. And the last thing that I had to figure out is how do you switch between DC current and AC current measurements. And I first of all thought like these buttons probably will be able to help. Nope, this does nothing. Like this does frequency, but still, like, you can hold the release, but these things don't do anything. Like, this switches from range, but how do you switch from AC to DC? Well, it's the power button. Why? Why is it the power button? This thing should be only for turning things on and off. But it switches from AC to DC, and this is just plain stupid. So those are my general impressions about the actual meter. And the last thing I want to show you before testing some measurements is the actual build construction of this. One nice thing, it has a hook, so you can hook it on a wall for storage. This is actually useful for me. I don't know how much use of it will be for you. There's a nice compartment for storing probes, which is also a nice feature. and then they ruin it with this thing. This thing is useless. It's not stable. It should be gripped here. It's useless. And look at this. It doesn't even line up. You have to like push it really hard to actually line up. This thing uses 9-volt batteries. It eats them really fast, so probably be careful to turn this thing off. It has an auto turn off feature after some time. It's actually somewhat nice. So yeah, those are my general impressions from this meter. And to finish this off, let's actually measure something with this. I already showed you the continuity measurement in the last clip. Now I'm going to show you the voltage measurement, which again you have to switch to DC first, because of course everybody uses DC, everybody uses AC first, right? So 9.7 volts, yeah, this is a practically new 9 volt, this is good. Let's try resistance. Okay. Yep, this is a 1 mega ohm, and this should be a 510 ohm resistor. Try. Yep, that's exactly 510, yeah. Okay, and last, let's try capacitance. This is a 2.2 microfarad. Yeah, that's close enough. So, one thing to note for this is that if you're measuring bigger capacitances, this might actually take some time to measure it. Like probably if you're measuring over 500 microfarads, you're probably going to have to wait for a few seconds or maybe 20 seconds for this to actually measure it. So just, you know, hold for it for a while until it finishes. Let's try to also get some higher voltage DC. The biggest voltage I can now make is with my power supply, which goes to 30 volts. Okay, let's see how we're going to do. Okay, 31.38, yeah, that's basically what my power supply is showing me. And as the last thing, let's go ahead and show you AC, which I'm going to plug in off screen. 225. Okay, that's basically my AC voltage here in my country. And now for the conclusion. I know I just complained about this meter for like past 10 minutes, but I actually like it. I wouldn't exchange this meter for the other readings right now, or really for anything but like a pro meter that costs probably like tenfold of this. But still, like, this is a good meter. If you can get this at a good price, it's actually good. I would buy this if it was cheaper actually than the other readings. But if you really don't care about like these stupid features, you probably just should buy the other readings I mentioned. I'm going to put them on the screen, and there's going to be a link for them in the description. So yeah, I hope you liked this review. This is my first video on this channel, and I thought, why not? One of my New Year's resolutions is to actually use this channel for something, and I hope that I will be able to review some more equipment later and actually work on some projects. So thank you for watching, and bye!